Well, I'm down in the Hampshire countryside. It is blazing hot. Early in the morning, for me anyway. 23 degrees, it's going up to over 30 degrees. I'm going to fish a place called John Lake. It is, at this speed you'll gather, as the saying goes, well off the beaten track. It's a beautiful corner of Hampshire. I suppose you could call it West Hampshire really. But it's one of the few places left that still retains some element of countryside rather than a concrete jungle. 2 lakes here. I've fished here before. I've never ever fished in the heat like this before. Even coming down here, it's warm with the air coming through the car. Got the windows open. So we'll see how we get on. Could be a blank. I've got to try. There could be some tips in there for catching fish in unbelievably hot weather. So, polarising glasses for spotting the trout. Pretty well essential, but there could be a bit of colour in the water due from any algal blooms or something like that. Now they're running, which I've never seen here before, paddle machines. I'll go down and show you those. That's to keep a high oxygen content in the water, because trout do not like hot weather. They do not like low oxygen content. It's the same everywhere when there's drought conditions and very hot conditions. The fish, you know, aren't going to be enthusiastic. So, glasses, minimal gear. Make sure you put some sunscreen on when you're out like this, because you're casting like this. You're going to get it on your forearms. Get a hat. I've got a Florida Guides hat here, which has a removable neck flap, and it's all vented. You may have seen it before. It goes over the back of your head. It is a long peak, so it shuts down the light really well, and it's lovely and loose here, so the air circulates and you can still stay cool. And it's wide over the ears. This is for fishing on the Florida Keys, those type of places where you're out in the flats and you're fishing for bonefish and permit, and you're standing like this waiting to cast to the fish. You get fried. So they've obviously designed this very well, and it works. Super long peak. And some people actually, what they do, the inside of this, they paint that black. I've done it on some of my other guide hats, and that allows you, your pupil, to open up even more, and you'll see more fish. Bet you didn't know that. Well, you did if you watched all our films. There's over 1,000 up on the site, so I know I've mentioned that one before. Right, tackle. Rod, reel, just regular fly line. You use a floating line here. One is a small pool, the other is a large pool. I'm going to be using what they call a glister fly here. That one was tied, I think, by late Sid Knight. It's got a little bead, tungsten bead head on the top there. I'll show you it more in close up. It could be too big with these hot conditions, that's the only thing. So I'm going to be giving it a go. Let's have a walk around the lakes and actually see what the clarity looks like. So there's a couple of things I'll be looking for when it's like this. I'm looking for basically any wind that's off my left-hand shoulder, because I'm a right-handed caster and I don't want the fly line pushing in my face. And the second thing is a bit of shade, trying to get the sunlight behind me so that I might spot a fish in the water. That's the general idea. But of course there is a tinge of colour in there because it's been, you know, hot and sunny. And there's some rudd in there as well. It's a small roach or rudd, small fry that are there. And if there was a big brown trout or something like that, a predatory, they could well move in and feed on those as well. So I'm basically just having a walk around first. Well, this particular part here always reminds me of bone fishing, where you go for bones or permit in places like the Florida Keys, where it's shallow, light coloured bottom, and you're looking for a dark shape or even the shadow of the fish. A lot of the time, because the bonefish is silver, you won't see the bonefish, you'll see the shadow made by the bonefish. And I've seen fish moving up and down here, even in the ripple. I've got glasses, obviously I haven't got a polarising lens. Hopefully I might be able to see one or two. There's one there now coming in. So I'm coming around the bottom corner. I'm looking at a static over there, and it could be a log, it could be a piece of weed. I've got a feeling it's a trout, but it's much bigger than the others, if it is indeed a fish. I think I'm going to walk around and have a look. The sun's this way, so it's sort of off my back, and we'll go and check that guy out. There must be something of a spring just down here. There's 2 or 3 fish, but they're laying right tight to the bottom. I might need a faster sinking fly. No response at all from them at the moment. Well, people, I did say it was going to be tough. I'm sweating already. It's barely 10:30. I'm almost dripping. One thing you want to do when it's really hot and still like this, you want that fly to get down really into their zone. They're not going to go chasing too much. I use a bit of washing up liquid. You can get all sorts of proprietary brands from the tackle shops. They'll sell you whatever you want in degreasing, leader degreasing I call it. But to me, a piece of washing up liquid just smeared on the leader every 20 casts, that generally is enough. I put it in a little, one of those little hotel type bottles. Waste not, want not. Money saved is money earned. Right, there's a hole down here. I'm going to have a bing in there and I'll put the head cam on. Much deeper hole here. There's fish laying on the bottom, I can see them. Whether they move is another thing. Oh, plenty of fish down there. Just down here over the gravel. Here he comes. Oh, he's looked at it. We're going to get a hookup. We're going to get a hookup. The bigger fish are what I call the statics laying down there. And they could be brown trout, because the browns don't like any warm. Oh, that was a take and I missed it. Come on, fish. They are stacks down there. They're down there for the oxygen content. They're just going to take this fly and spit it out in a millisecond. My gut feeling here, people, is a black fly. But the big one I'm looking at is down there. Come on. I'm not. That was just like a take. That's the most vicious take that a twig or branch has ever given me. Notice how I carefully drop it in my fly line. Here we go again. Oh, you can see they're taking it more on the drop. Oh, come in the shade of this tree for a bit. Well, I must have pulled my fly past 50 trout. And I've only had one that wants to eat. I'm not even sure he wanted to eat. We did it just feeling sorry for me. But what I've noticed is there's hardly any insects. There's damselflies, odd dragonfly. Dragonflies feeding on the other insects, but I don't see many other insects. So I'm wondering, with this heat and hot water, it's obviously, patently obviously, it's putting the trout down, putting them off the feed. Is that maybe killing off the insects, or the insects just aren't coming from the bottom because it's too hot near the top of the water and they're down in the mud on the lake bed? I don't know. So it's something I've sort of never come across before, because I wouldn't entertain normally even thinking of trout fishing with these sort of temperatures. But I figure, you know, you don't know until you try. So we're going to have a walk around. It'll be a bit noisy over there. I'm going to go where the blower is. There's more oxygen there. These guys are just sitting on a spring. They're just laying there. They're patently obviously not really interested. I'll see if I can find a customer over that way. That just points to oxygen content. Absolutely take straight away. Hopefully you got that on camera, people. Got to strip him fast. Keep up with it. That just points to oxygen content being higher there. I mean, pretty well. That was first cast. Hopefully you got it on camera. It just goes to show you how picky. Now, why are those other trout? They're just laying on the spring, not coming up to this oxygen saturated water part of the lake, which is obviously, hopefully, turning the fish on. It took me 2 hours to come back to where I thought the fish wouldn't be. Much more feisty fish. He's way over by the island there. Carrying a bit of weed with him. Oh, he's come off. There you go. Well, I tell you what, I've got a bit more confidence now fishing in that water. Let's have another go. That's messing with the camera again. Trying to get different camera angles. I'm just going to check the point of that hook. If you lose a fish, it's always worth. Yeah, that hook's fine. Just the way it is. See if we can get another hook up. I'm going to throw it right in that foaming water. It's like a river. Like fishing in a whirlpool. I think they're chasing each other. So you'd think they've been put off by this? No. Mind you, it was only the one take. Let's see if I can get right in it. Where have I put my net? I've got to take on a really small sort of white chomper. There's so many fish out there just not eating. Just got to keep at them. I'm going to walk him away because I won't get too many chances in this heat to get a thumping headache. I've had to put the peak cap on, so I hope you're going to get some of this. Look at that setting. Blue sky, blue sky, blue sky. We've had weeks on it. That was perseverance, I have to say, but we haven't got it yet. This was Mike's dog, jumping on me with his claws. I think he needs to go and have a pedicure. Here he comes, Rainbow, I'm guessing. I did think initially it was small. I went to a big sort of turquoise lury thing. I thought the wiggle in the tail might do it, but now they're just not interested. You've just got to keep persevering. Small buzzers, small weighted shrimps, that type of thing. The problem is they don't want it fast, so you're not going to pull them on the hook, as it were. They're actually going to take it and blow it out in a millisecond. Come on, Mr. Fish. Nice rainbow. We can get that in. That can go to the campsite for eating, because the fish in John O'Gaunt's are really good quality. I think, I'm not sure, I think they're stocked via a fish farm from the river test, so they're in good quality water. Well, he's going well, he's going better than I thought in this hot weather. I wouldn't like to say what the water temperature is. Now he's done, I think. Let's get him up here. Could be a mistake bringing him in the shallow water, because he won't like the shallow water. Here he comes, here he comes. Got a feeling that hook will ping out very quickly. Too late, if it pings out now. We got the fish. Whew, that was hard caught. That was a hard one fish. There's a bloke there fishing. Hi. He's got one as well. Now I've got a stringer. That's a nice, lovely eating sized rainbow, that one. You don't want them too big. About that size will feed, what, probably 4 people. But I'm going to put it on a stringer, but I'm not going to leave it long in the water. Just as a point of interest, people think putting them in the water will keep it cool. Actually, sometimes they will cook in the water, and they're certainly going to be cooking in this weather we got here. So I'll try and find a shady spot, stake it up, and see if I can't get lucky again. Not exactly any shade. I just put him down here for a while. There he is. So this, for those who want to know, is a marrow spoon for scooping out the contents of a trout to find out what he's been feeding on, which I always find strange, because if you already caught the trout, you know sort of what you're catching them on. One of those implements doesn't get used very much. Now, one of the old sayings is, if there's loads of berries coming on the trees, it's going to be a really bad winter. As I'm filming this, it's like the worst drought we've had for what I remember, the 1976 drought, and lakes were drying up, and I've got pictures of them just absolutely cracked, and we're heading that way with this one. Hopefully by the time you guys see this film, it will be months later, perhaps a year later. Everything will be lush green and the rain will have come. And then, of course, we'll be moaning about the rain. Well, I can see with my glasses, walking around, there is a shape just down in here. I don't think you'll see it with the camera. I'll try and get a film of it for you. And this isn't the clear lake. There's a dark shape just down there. See if I can zoom in on it a bit. It's about there, and it's moving. I don't actually know whether that's a trout or a pike, because there are occasional pike in there. And there's a rudd just going past the top of it. Joking apart, because I think I might have to have a little blip at that one. It's pretty tough here for casting. As you can see, it's a sort of no-go area. It's where a ping cast, just where you bend the rod and ping it. Now he's come back to the same station that I've seen him before. So it's obviously his little happy spot there, just to the left of that stem. That's got to be worth a drop. That's a decent sized fish too. No, that's round one to the fish. That's what I mean about unbelievably hot weather. They're just totally disinterested. You just got to find one fish that wants to snap at the fly. Let's keep moving. Well, I'm round the back of the island here, and I will go down and show you the blower. Be interesting to see if there's any fish around there actually, if they are actually disturbed, the trout. And I can see here, as one of the bailiffs was just telling me, it has dropped a bit, but considering the state the rest of the country is in under these drought conditions, it's pretty well holding up, because the river test is just literally over there. So it's chalk spread, it's spring fed through the chalk, and whatever's left down in the underground aquifers, after everybody's finished sucking the life out of it and feeding it to towns and cities, then we're going to be left with not much more than this type of fishery, whereby the water has to be enclosed. But the rivers, man, they're going to be tough, I reckon, really tough. I'm seeing one shape there, it's just a bit of colour in the water, but I figure I've got to have a little blip at it. Well, I've come to the smaller lake, way clearer. I've already seen a couple of fish flying around, so the blower over there has obviously sparked them up, being a smaller volume of water. I guess the same size blower, and they are swimming around, so a much better chance of catching here, I figure. There's some weed growing up in the margins down there, and just on the outside of that I can see fish moving, cruising slowly up and down. Finally, working away, we got one hooked up there. Wow, that was tough. We haven't got it yet. He's way out in the lake. I just got to try and keep her. Might as well sit down for this one. He is way out there, kicking and thrashing. Now, ordinarily I'll be walking down for this fish and just, you know, maintain the pressure like this and just walk it back slowly, and then when I got back to there, walk down and wind the slack in. It's coming. That's a rainbow. Oh, it's a rainbow, yeah. There he comes. I'm nearly out of battery. Now, you see what I mean? I probably left this one in the water a little bit too long. and it's starting to blow a bit. That one's starting to get heat in it. I'm going to click this off till I fight this and get it on the bank, so I'm nearly out of battery. Well, there we go, boys. I got the double, a nice brownie. There's the fly. Hopefully you can see that. And that is really good eating size. Now, who thinks the rainbow eats better than the brown? Who thinks the rainbow eats better than the brown, or the brown eats better than the rainbow? Beauty. Pop him on the head and get him in the box. I'll tell you, I'm sweating. I have to go back to the car, get some more water, otherwise you just dehydrate out. There's no one else fishing. There's nobody. One guy came up, I guess he came early doors, he went in about an hour. So nobody else is stupid enough to be out in this temperature. Tomorrow 36, today 34. This is the middle of the afternoon, or the middle of the day. But what I have found as well, I found it interesting hooking that fish up where the water's spouting in there. But also, quite a few of the trout are in the... I'm sitting in the shade, you know, you're not... Well, I'm a bit stupid, obviously I wouldn't be fishing, would I? But the trout are absolutely in the shade. Now, I've never seen that, I don't think, ever on hot weather, that a bunch of trout would go under there. One or two, you always look in the shady areas for any fish, pike, carp, whatever. I could see carp doing it, but I've never seen it with trout, so that's something new for me. In the numbers that I've seen, there's a phenomenal amount of trout over in those two springs over there, but they just don't seem to want to eat. I will persevere with a small fly. I had one bump here, they just barely following it, barely nipping it. I'm using, you might know in focus, called it's like a Corixa, sort of shrimp thing. We used to use them all the time years ago there. I've got nothing small, I wanted something like a small black hand. And the other thing that's bothering me, and another thing that's bothering me, I'm seeing no insects. That, you know, as the heat killed the insects off, it's weird. Well, I might get lucky just going in the areas, the blower, the shaded tree, of which there's only one here, or the deep water springs, which is a bit deeper, and just see if I can't pick an extra fish off. But pleasant enough day, but very, very un-trout-like conditions. I think I've been lucky to even hook a couple, to be honest. One more would be nice. There's one. And not often you see me sitting down fishing like casually. They're definitely not chasing anything fast. I've tried a few fast sticks, nothing. I've tried like this, just figure of 18. They seem to want, well, they don't want anything. I say they want a slow draw, barely moving. They don't really want anything, it's the truth of it. See, they're coming right in this shady area. There's one out, cruiser. Ordinarily these fish would be looking at least, if that makes sense. Hooked up again, guys. But he's got me, as you can see. It's like he's locked in a weed bed or something. I have to walk backwards on this one. He might kick out. Probably going to lose him. I'm probably going to lose him. I'm walking backwards. I'm locked in weed or something. Oh, is he buried in there? Now I say this one's a lost cause. All bubbles coming up there. That's the end of that. You can see all the bubbles. He took me right in the wee bed there. So, a tough day at the office, but at least I got a couple of fish out of it. Lost one there, lost another one up there, so it's 2 for 2. Then as the say, was it 4 for 2? I never know, 4 for 2. Hot weather, very, very hard. I knew that anyway, but it's still worth a shout. So thanks for watching TA Fishing and TA Outdoors. Watch both channels, hit the subscribe button on both of those. Whew. Got to get back and have a cold beer, I think. We'll see you in the next film. What a setting though. Well, do you know, I don't think I've fished in such hot, still conditions as I have ever done for trout. That was really, really hot. That was about on the limit for me. It was certainly over the limit for the trout. But listen, if I hadn't gone, I wouldn't have got those 2 fish, would I? So it's something. At least I was out there trying. Trying? Or was it frying? I think it was frying. Could do with a bit of that heat now. Let's pop over to Grant's, tackle up. Grant's going to run through some beginner stuff. If you want to get into trout fishing, you want to make a little attempt at having a go at it, this is just the basics you need to know. He's going to give you some tips and it's worth listening to.
Right. Hi there guys, we're going to talk about fly fishing today, but if you could excuse the noise in the background because we're in the tackle shop but it's quite noisy today. So river season just started on fly fishing for the start of April, so a lot of the things that we're going to discuss in this little short video is about attaching. One of my main questions is a loop leader to your fly lines. So it doesn't matter what type of fly line you buy, in general you will at some point have to attach some form of leader to it. So these are the little things I've been asked for many a times to actually attach on the line, and your line will show just like that, complete blank end. And we'll just talk you through this and then we'll go through the other various lines and weight sizes that you use for either trout river fishing or lakes.
Well, am I right calling this a knotless way of attaching?
It is, yeah. So it pretty much, the only best way I explain it for people to understand it is a Chinese finger trap. So we're going to thread the line down through this piece of braided material.
Yeah.
And basically it will butt up here and then it just can't pull out. Then we'll seal it with this piece of rubber over the top.
That's if you can get the end open, which we always use, and it's got it, yeah?
Right, I'm going to show you how to attach the actual fly line to the loop leader now. So it's quite a simple process. You're going to push this piece into the end once we find the end. Glasses would probably be a good help, right?
Do you have to cut a slant in that at the end of the fly line? Would that help, you know?
Yeah, we could try it. So yeah, different things help. So you can cut off at a slight angle. And that will help actually thread it through.
And what do you actually physically call that loop that you're putting on there?
So it's a braided loop leader.
And that's staying on the fly line,
That is staying on the fly line. We will attach our tippets and leaders from this loop here. Yeah. So as you can see that the fly line is now threaded inside. And we just work it all the way down. So as you, I don't know if we can see on the camera there. If I push that,
it goes down inside the braid,
opening up.
Yeah.
Goes down and you just keep repeating it and hold it and feed it all the way up the line. And just keep teasing it, don't rush with it.
So quite a long way.
It's quite a long way because it has to pull back on itself, so it can't, if it was too short you wouldn't have enough, it would slip off, exactly that.
And the idea behind this, I think, is because when you get your fish close to netting, you don't want your leader knot going into the tip ring, jamming. Mr. Big Trout then decides to go the other way and we come to parting of the ways. That's how I've experienced it myself.
Yeah. So keep going. We're just coming to the end now and you'll be able to see, I don't know if you'll be able to see it on the camera there.
There's a sleeve, isn't there?
There's a sleeve there, but in here you can see where the line has been spliced and looped back on itself.
I see, yeah.
And then you can see my fly line appearing inside now.
When I've used those many years ago, I feel sure I've not gone up as far as that, and then I'll just put a bit of super glue there.
Yeah, so you can go a bit short if you want, but for me, if you've got the whole length there, use the whole thing, okay? And then you can see now we're a bit frayed here.
Yeah.
Some of the old ways used to be whipping over with a wax cotton, which is a bit of an art, which I could probably show you guys at some point on another video. But this one, we just have a silicone sleeve. So one of the better things to do is generally just dab this with a piece of super glue, very finely, just a little piece on there, and then you slide the rubber sleeve.
Oh, so it goes all the way up?
All the way to the end, and the idea being is that covers any of the frayed ends from the braided loop.
I see, yeah.
Because otherwise what happens is it peels back, and if something can get on that, pull it the opposite way, it opens out and your line can come out.
I see, yes.
But as you can see now, when I pull that...
Oh, it's very strong, isn't it? Crikey, yeah. See it stretch almost.
Let go, yeah.
And then onto the end of that, you're going to put your fly leader.
We're going to have a fly leader. So we'll open one up today and we'll show you. So river fishing, maybe something like £4 tapered leader. So it'd be thicker one end down to thinner. 4X.
Thin by the fly,
means,
yeah.
Yeah, so it's like 4 times thicker at the top end of the leader than it is on the bottom. Okay, so these are 9-foot leaders, probably a general. Probably a bit long on the river fishing front. I would probably say you want a bit shorter than that on the river, but lakes and that you'd probably use, start off with that and then just, you can trim it back slightly if you want, but then you'd be on a slightly heavier breaking.
Beginner setting up, you reckon £4 tippet is about right?
4 to 5 pounds obviously gives you a bit of leeway then if you are being a bit more heavy-handed with the rod whilst your land's paid trout. And as the guys will know, as you start fly fishing and playing on a fly rod, you will feel it's such a direct feel for playing the fish as it is to using a fixed spool reel. So
yes,
a little bit of give does help.
And the other thing I've always known really is a tapered leader will help your fly unroll on the cast better than a single piece of line which I use.
Yes, and
but
I'm
the
exactly
tapered
like you,
will.
Graham. I just use straight pieces of line, but the tapered lines do help the cast.
Yes,
it helps you present the fly better on the water, definitely. So what we've got now, this is the loop in the actual leader, which is pre-tied. So we find this is a lot thicker and wiry this end, and as I pull through it, I don't know if you'll be able to see on there.
Getting thinner.
It's getting thinner, and it probably get to the point of you might be able to see it. So
yeah, still see it.
Still see it, and I can feel it reducing now in my hand about there. It's getting thinner.
Yeah, so it's going to go down to 4.
That's now going to £4. And I go right to the end, and then
there, we've got trouble seeing it now, so I know it's getting down there. Yeah, very fine.
There you go to the end. So that's a 9-foot leader down to £4 breaking strain. So the idea of the loop is you can obviously change your leaders if you're changing up a weight size or down.
Or now I'm going to give a tip while you do this.
Yeah.
The other thing is if you go up a bush or anything like that and you're snagged up and you have to pull for a break and it's halfway up this leader because you might have a wind knot, it's going to be very thick for getting through the fly next time. Yes. So the idea of this loop is you can take off and put a new leader on.
That. And I'll also show you another little thing that I do without keep replacing the things with using a little ring as well. So now I'll just fit it through. So this is a simple figure of 8 to slide the two together. Any other sort of loop knot you'd use in any other type of fishing. And we'll see the two come together now, which and pull. As you can see.
Got it, yeah, I see it pull tight.
There we go. So now we've got perfect loop there. And like I say, I can pull that as hard as I like, and that is not going to break.
It's set, it's set.
So that's set. So we know this loop leader's now on, and I can't pull it any harder, so
it's set.
Hopefully, good job. So another thing I've also used in the past is when my loop leader's got this short and I've been tight and I've forgotten to take another packet with me.
Yeah.
I have some bait rings in my bag just in case.
Yeah.
So a bit like these.
I've never heard of these.
Bait ring.
Yes.
I use them in carp fishing, everything now, and I'd literally tie one of those rings into my line here, and then just come straight off with what we get, say like these, a tippet leader, a 6 pound fluorocarbon,
and that's level lock. That's a level lock one, isn't it?
That is, yeah. So
that's a tip worth knowing there. Yeah.
So that's just one of my little things that I've done with a friend for years, and it's got us out of a hole when you've not had a loop leader. Okay, so that's that fly line.
Now, there's loads of fly lines, and obviously we can go through them, but would you say for beginners a forward taper or a double tapered? What do you think's best?
I would say a forward taper is generally easier for casting.
Yep.
So, in general, forward taper will help you turn the fly over. Double taper, you can get further distance, I feel, with a cast, but I think you'll sort of pick that up over time. So.
And you do a beginner's outfit, don't you?
I do some beginner's outfit.
Call it ready-made for beginners.
So we do some. So this is a 9-foot 8 weight, which would be a large one, maybe for lake fishing, should we say, on a trout water. Yeah. So, but that's a rod, reel, hard case, 4-piece rod, line ready spooled as well.
So you just buy leader?
Yeah, that's it. It's ready to go. So you get some bits in the box. So this is more of a bigger trout predator rod, if you like. You could use that for pike fly fishing. Yeah. And then we also do various combo kits here. I mean, these are just one of the firms that we do. So that's a 9-foot 6, 7 weight, which would be a general mid-range sort of for lake fishing, if you like. And then we generally change down to the lighter stuff. So that's a 9-foot 6 weight there, which is for sort of lake fishing again, but getting on the lighter side of it, which is a bit more fun.
Obviously, most, I'm going to say, trout rods would be, say,
So
9 foot to 9
that's the
foot
9
6.
foot.
That's why you have a 9 foot leader.
Yeah.
And
And
this,
then the
the
hash
number 6 means the weight of the line,
Exactly
the
that.
density of the fly line.
That's it. So whenever you see a hash marking on a fly fishing sort of thing, that is the weight of the line. So 9 foot rod, 6 weight line.
And that would be light to medium.
Light
for,
to medium,
for really.
I would say just general
use,
lake fishing.
small lakes, not reservoirs.
Not reservoirs. Reservoirs might be on a bigger fly,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
then you're on
You've got wind.
heavier lines as well to get the lines sinking. I've also got a couple of others here that I've knocked over. So no, we're still at. So that's again look, a lot of very good information on the rods and reels actually. So large rivers, lake, trout, and freshwater.
And pike, so you could use pike for that as well. Yeah,
So,
yeah.
And then we have some. That's again a mid-range. Or what I'm going to show you on the wall is a lighter river outfit. I like to fish light rods, 3 weights, 4 weights, 9 foot, 8 foot, and they're just good fun for trying out different things. So we've got various ones in the rack here from different manufacturers. So we go very light on the scale of things. That is, I'll show you on there. That is a 6 foot 3 weight by Witchwood, but a very light floppy action rod, but for fishing for nymphs, things like that, or on the river,
light flies,
fishing for little wild brownies, things like that. Really
a fun rod. We'll call it a fun outfit, really.
A fun outfit. And then we sort of step up to a number 4 as well, so it's a bit heavier.
That's a 2-piece, yeah.
No, so these are all 4-piece generally.
Oh, 4s.
So
I think. Oh, like
I
a travel
display
rod.
them in 2s because it's easier to do it that way.
Yeah.
But they're all 4-piece rods. So we've got another few range of rods. These are Gray's Lance rod, a new rod out. But we've got a 7 foot 6 3 weight, again like a river rod. 8 foot 4 weight, slight again light fishing river rod. That's a 9 foot 6 5. A 9 foot 5 weight, which again we use on the rivers, but then guys use them on the lakes and things like that as well.
For fun.
I like it for fun, so I stick with the lighter rods because I just think it's more fun with it. So then going through flies and bits and pieces like that, there was a million flies.
I saw them. I filmed some of them, yeah.
We've got a few on there which you would have seen. I mean, we can say not the basic ones like a mayfly, which is something that'll be coming up soon.
Very, very shortly.
Hopefully the weather plays ball and they will hatch on time this year and not too late.
About mid-May normally, I feel. That's what it is.
Yeah.
Depending on the weather.
So if the weather's running slightly behind, we end up being into June, but we've got some other.
You got some over on the pack. You can buy these bought individually.
We do individual
or you do a
flies.
pack if you want one particular fly.
Yes, so it will work out cheaper to buy in a pack than in the individuals, but obviously you can pick and choose what you like within flies on the individual flies. Or we also do these packs, so it's like a bloodworm pack, so it gives you a mixture of different things in there. Or something a bit later on in the summer that always seems to work well, it's like the blue damsels, but you've got bright blues and then into green as well on there, so there's a bit of a mixture.
Yeah, these, I can tell guys, are always a good standby on a lot of waters.
Yes.
Check with your fishery management rules because sometimes they say an inch length. So
so
so they say, my God, it looks like a dead chicken. No, that when it's wet,
when it's
wet,
marabou,
it goes soft and
it goes
like a
soft
tail.
and it's like a tail and it's all wavy and moves through the water.
Like a sort of tadpole effect, I call it. Really.
So, this is like the staple diet of August for me on the river. I use these a lot, daddy longlegs.
Well, they're quite big then, aren't they?
They are quite large, but I've fished for little wild brownies and I use these and they really go mad for them, yeah. So you have to, right on the end of dusk, I wait till and they hit them out of the water, so they generally jump out from, which is really good.
There's a million flies, guys. I've got boxes with more flies than he's got on the side here, and I use 3 when I go fishing at the end of the day. You can't help but buy them though. Things like this.
So this is what we call a zinger. And a zinger is designed, I'll take one out of the packet. I haven't got a fly vest on at the moment to show you guys, which we've got one hanging up so I can show you. So the idea of this is you can attach your tools to it, whether it be a pair of forceps, scissors, little nail clippers that people use for clipping the flies. And obviously it's called a zinger because it zips in and out.
Yes, yeah.
It has a little clip on there, so you can either put it onto a belt buckle or a bag buckle, or in general, if Graham swings up here on the camera, you've got like a fly fishing vest, and the idea of things like this, you can clip it on there. And when you're in the water, etc., or by the water, you're never going to drop your scissors or forceps in the lake.
And what I like about fly fishing, and I do all types, is travelling light. So this jacket's taking pretty well anything you want to put in there. Flies, you're not going to have lead weights, you're going to have floats and bits and pieces. You won't want loads of different fly lines. You're going to have a few leaders, some flies, this, and maybe a net or something like that.
And then got some little pan nets. These are generally wading nets. I've got larger nets upstairs as well for if you're on the lake bank. You would have to have a net with a handle to reach the fish, but otherwise in general
it's a wading one.
net. Yeah. So various different meshes as well. if you have a thicker mesh, which some people prefer on the rivers because it flows through the water better, or there's a tighter mesh, which is a lot softer as well. So some of the other bits and pieces that we do are fly boxes. This is a double-sided one. You generally find if you're going to carry more flies on a lake for the day, you'll have more of a selection in your pockets.
More for wet flies and nymphs, would that be?
Wet flies, I would say, yeah, and your lures. I won't go over that one because it's stuck together.
Oh, it's stuck together, yeah, price, yeah.
So, on that, more slimline ones for you guys who are sort of on the move and you want to keep them in your jacket pockets. So more sort of your dry flies in there, your smaller flies, which I've already got a few in there, something like that to match.
And they just...
they literally just hook into the foam like that. Yeah. And you fill them up with all your colours, all your flavours, and have a go.
And the thing is, you can fill this up, guys, and you still won't have enough flies.
These are the bits that are about make your flies float, sink your line. So this one's for wet flies for dressing it, make them sink a bit quicker. This one's a floating, it's called muslin, a bit like a Vaseline. You get a pad in there.
Yeah. That's for going on the leader, not the fly line.
Put it on your fly leader. Yeah. Squeeze it over, rub it up and down the line. Yeah. Little top tip, keep it inside a little zip seal, lock seal bag in your bag, because otherwise when it gets hot, it expands, melts and then leaks all over your bag, which I'm sure most of you might have done if you've
I've done that one, left it in the car.
Yeah, this is another one, so when you're using dry flies on the surface, you generally find after a bit of a while the materials, the different hairs and stuff they use, or generally take water on and they start sinking on you and they're just sort of hovering under the surface. So dry the fly out, which generally most of us would probably do with a quick whip in the air with a fly rod, spray a bit of that onto your fly, and that generally keeps him floating for longer. So that's your fly fishing lines, guys. There's lots more for us to look at, which maybe we'll do another video on some of the other lines next time. Fly fishing is just like any other type of fishing. Location, find your fish, the right fly, and you should be away. But don't be scared of it. Come and ask any questions in any shop. I'm sure a lot of guys can give you a hand on it. And it's mainly practice your casting. That was my top tip to you guys for this one, is practice your casting.
Well, thanks to Grant for giving you a few tips in there. Listen, as he says, don't be frightened to try and trout fly fishing. It's really good because it'll lead to other stuff as well. You can go saltwater fly fishing for bass. You can go freshwater fishing for pike. You can try dry fly fishing for chub. There's lots of stuff you can try within that fly fishing era once you've learned to cast the fly. That is the question. And of course we've got a film up on our playlist of how to cast a fly or fly line, and that gets you one step closer to the trout. We'll see you in the next film. Thanks for watching this one. Hopefully hit the button, TA Fishing, TA Outdoors, and we'll have some fish for you even bigger next time.